So by now, probably everybody has seen the video that went viral this weekend down in Alabama, that brawl. Some have called it, the Alabama Sweet Tea Party, the Montgomery Brawl, or the massacre in Montgomery. I want to break that video down from a legal perspective and talk about who has a valid self-defense claim, who has a valid defense of others claim. So let's start with the young man who jumped off the riverboat and swam up to the dock and joined in the fray. Apparently this young man was only 16 years old. Before we get into the legal analysis, I just gotta say, man, I was impressed. The dude jumps off the boat and then he has to swim up to the dock, which was not a short swim. Anybody who swam before knows that swimming can take a lot out of you from a cardio perspective. He swims all that way. Then it's not like getting out of a pool. He has to essentially press himself up. I know some grown men who can't do that. And then another video came out where it's showing he picks up this dude and does the rock bottom on him. Dude probably weighed 200 pounds at least. So let's just give him a round of applause for his cardio and his strength and his courage. But putting that to the side, does he have a valid defense of others claim? I think that he does, because there was an active fight going on still. We had already seen in the viral video that the white family who was asked to move the boat, they essentially jumped the security guard. I saw at least 3 grown men punching this man on the ground. And so the young man who swims to the dock, the fray is still essentially going on. And that's when he rock bottoms that other guy. So I actually think he does have a valid defense of others claim. And what that means is not only can you defend yourself if somebody is attacking you, you can also defend third parties. So people you don't even know who are being attacked, you can defend them as well. You can come to their defense. So that's essentially what he did. And so I think even if he was arrested, I'm hoping that he's not indicted, because I think he has a valid self-defense of others claim. So let's go to the family that would not move, I guess, their little boat out the way so that the riverboat could actually park at the dock. Were they in the right or were they in the wrong? Do they have a valid self-defense claim? I guess starting from the beginning, we saw that the first punch was thrown by one of the white gentlemen who didn't have a shirt on. He attacked the security guard who did not put his hands on that gentleman at all. The security guard gets attacked, and then you see 2 other gentlemen join in the fray, again apparently from the same family, and they all jump on him and start beating on him, which obviously pissed off everybody else who was on the riverboat, and we'll get to that later. But I think, that's an assault, that's a battery. If anything, they should be the ones indicted based on what I've seen. They do not have a valid self-defense claim, in my opinion, because they started the entire fray. They started the unlawful physical force. They started the battery or the assault. So now let's talk about the 3 brothers who came off the riverboat and they ran up to the smaller boat skipping with no shirts on. And it's hard to tell exactly the time frame and how long the initial fray had been going on and how long it took for the riverboat to dock. I would estimate it seemed like more than 15 minutes for sure. And the initial fight had seemingly stopped, and the white family again had retreated to their boat, and apparently they were about to leave. But these gentlemen come off the boat. It was 3 or 4 of them, I think, at first, and then more came. Do they have a valid defense of others claim? That's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough, because for you to have a valid self-defense claim in any capacity, there has to be an imminent physical threat. And it could be argued that the physical threat was over, the initial fight was over, everything had calmed down, but these brothers still wanted some smoke. They were upset, and for good reason, for what happened, for them jumping on this security guard who was just doing his job. So I'm hoping they don't get indicted, those gentlemen, but I could see a situation where they potentially do, because it's questionable whether or not there was still an imminent physical threat. My man with the chair, who went WWE style and was just laying folks out with that white chair that has went down in history. That's a historical artifact now, apparently. But does he have a valid defense of others claim? Again, questionable on that one, because not only does the physical threat have to be imminent, it has to be reasonable force. So, if everybody's using their hands to fight, you can't use a gun. or a knife. The force has to be reasonable. So it's going to be a question of whether or not using that chair was reasonable in that context. You know, it could be argued that initial hit where he hit the dude, the other gentleman with the chair on the head, that could be argued that may have been reasonable. But when he bopped the lady who was on the ground, it's probably excessive. And I think he would tell you he might have blacked out in that moment. My opinion and my hope is that nobody gets indicted. On either side. The family took their L that day and they're gonna live with that for the rest of their life, that embarrassment, because they were dead wrong. And I think the folks who jumped in the fray and were protecting that security guard initially, I think they should be able to move on with their lives from this as well, and just, you know, everybody learn from the situation and hopefully it doesn't happen again. It's damn sure entertaining, but you know, it shouldn't have happened in the first place. So that's my opinions. I could be right, I could be wrong. We'll see what happens.